Good morning, children. Sairam. Today we will be taking the third chapter of political science. That is, why do we need a parliament? Children, when we talk about parliament, what is a parliament? And why is it necessary for us? If we want to enjoy some rights, then we have to go ahead with some duties. We have to perform some duties. Now, why and how this question arrived of rights and duties? Who gave us rights and who actually assigned us duties? When we talk about dealing with any of the right, every single right comes with a duty. Now, the question is, why I have started with the small big concept of rights and duties? Children, when we live in a place, when we are attached to some place, some organization, a country, we have both. We have to follow both. That is rights and duties. And the authority who assigns you your rights as well as the duties is indirectly referred to as a parliament. Like if we are in a school, okay, when we are in school, if I am studying, suppose I am a student and I am studying, and above me I have my teachers, I have my, you can say, in charges, then I have head of departments, and then the vice principal as well as the principal, certainly. So this particular flows chart system, this particular system, flow system of the hierarchy, or you can say a particular continuous level of going from up to down and from down to up. This system, this staircase system, from or you can say increasing to decreasing and decreasing to increasing, both things. This mannerism of hierarchy, of getting step ahead from small unit to bigger unit to more big, and so on, this is called, or you can declare as a parliamentary form of government. Now, how can we associate the parliamentary form of government with a common example of our school? In school, every student, every teacher, and every single person you meet has been assigned some duties by the management. Now this particular management who is at the top, this can be referred to as the parliament. Okay, children, parliament. If parliament is a house, then if parliament is a house, then we, the citizens of India, citizens of the country, are the members of the family, Some members of the family are small, some are grown up, some are adult, some are mature. Fine. I hope this is clear to you that what is parliament. Now, how does this thing come upon? How does this parliament came into form? I'm getting back to the NCERT textbook and just have a glance of what is mentioned in your text. India, as we know, became independent on 15th August 1947. Preceding this was a long and difficult struggle in which many sections of the society participated. People from various backgrounds joined the struggle in order to get our country free. This we all know. Everyone wanted freedom because everyone was tormentized by the atrocities. Atrocities means by the weird behavior, by the torture of the British people. And under colonial rule, they could not live a free life. Every citizen of India, every person of India led a suffocated life. That is, they were not able to live a comfortable and prominent life. a particular, you can say, comfortable life without any pressure. But they faced grave danger and tried to criticize these decisions. The freedom movement changed the situation. The nationalists began to openly criticize the British government and make demands. As far back as 1885, the INC, that is the Indian National Congress, demanded that there be elected members in this legislature with a right to discuss the budget and ask questions. The Government of India Act 1909 allowed some elected representation, while these early legislatures under the British government were in response to the growing demands of the nationalists. They did not allow for all adults to vote, nor could people participate in decision making. This was the main, you can say, a concept or a particular spark which was ignited in the people. Today we are able to vote anyone. Today we, the citizens of India, we the people of India, are able to elect as well as actually vote for the person we willingly want to come into the government, or the person who can take us, who can lead us into the right direction and right path. But earlier, when we talk about the era, when we talk about the time when the country was not able to get free, and it actually did not have that much of potential to put forward its own criteria, the viewpoint. So how could you think that the people of the citizens of the India could vote a person of their own choice today? But today, because of the universal adult franchisee, we are able to vote to the person that is of our own choice. So how this right came to us, this also has a theory. Each and every each and every right that you enjoy, children, is just because of the efforts of the people who fought for us, the people who fought for us at the time of colonial rule. What is colonial rule? That is when the British ruled over us despite of the fact that we were the citizens, and they took upon our positions, and nothing in every effort went in the experience of the colonial rule as well as the participation of different people was left in doubt. India would be able to participate in making decisions was really a big big deal. It was a big effort to be established, and it was a big promise to be enclosed. Nobody ever think that India would be independent. It will come as a prevailing ruler, and it will take decisions for its own self. With the coming of the independence, we were going to be the citizens of a free country. Now, this did not mean the government could do what it felt like. It meant that the government had to be sensitive to the people's need and demand. The dreams and aspirations of the freedom struggle were made concrete in the aspirations of freedom struggle, as well as the Constitution of Independent India that laid down the principle of universal adult franchisee. That is, all adult citizens of the country have the right to vote. I've just discussed that how we universal, or what you can say, what is the role of universal adult franchisee. See children, when we talk about the role of the universal adult franchisee, it guarantees any adult, that is any person who is of the age 18 years, can vote the person or any political leader of his or her own choice irrespective of any caste, any gender, any creed, any color. There is no biasment on the basis of if you are a woman you can't vote, you're a girl you can't vote, if you're a boy you can't vote, if you're an old person you can't vote. No, there is no such restriction that this particular person cannot vote. If you are an Indian citizen, wherever you are, from the latitudes to the longitudes, you have the right to vote with this criteria that you should be above 18 years of age, of 18 years or above 18 years. Now, people and their representatives. This is the heading in your NCERT textbook. Do not get confused from where the madam is taking the titles. When we talk about people and their representatives, see children, when we have to move, when somebody is ruling, when we talk about rule, and when we are talking about, you can say, the people of that who are actually coming under somebody's rule. Suppose you have a class, okay, and the class teacher assigns a class monitor, and she tells that this class monitor, if there are 4 class monitors or 2 class monitors, so they will look forward to this subject. Subject doesn't mean history, civics and geography. Subject means this particular concern, that this particular monitor will take charge of your uniform, homework and classwork submission. The other will look forward for your behavior, your response, as well as your co-curricular activities response. So what happens? You are divided, not physically but manually. That is your work. You come under different class monitors. That is your work, as your rights as well as duties come under a perfect leader, your own leader. Similarly, when we are talking about this people and representatives, what happens if we take about a king and his kingdom and the particular people living in his kingdom? What happens? The people of that province will obviously obey the rules as well as the regulations commanded by the king, and in return what the king will do, he will cater and render services, you can say legal services, to the citizens of those or people of his kingdom. He'll see if some kind of torture or some illegal activities are being carried out in his kingdom, so he'll take the authority, he'll grant the authority to the particular person, a judge, a lawyer, etc., to punish the person who is found guilty. Fine children, I hope you are clear with this much. The rest will continue in the next class. Thank you and Sai Ram.